What's going on, guys? Uche Joku, Sneaker Principal. And I had this crazy idea of showing you my rig that I use when I'm not in here. So when I'm in here in my home studio recording content, and those of you, I think you're kind of familiar with my setup here, kind of like this. I have my, my lighting kit. I'm using the Canon RP as my main camera, then the Canon R50 as my secondary camera. So this right here is my RP that I use. Has been my primary camera now for more than 3 or 4 years now. And then of course, then this is the R50 that I use as my secondary camera. Then of course as well, not of course. Why do I keep saying of course? My other cameras are GoPro 7s. This is that one right there, and this one over here. So I don't know why this cut on this one looks kind of off, but I'll fix that later. But again, this is my setup here that I utilize for the most part. So when I'm not in here, recording content in here, I'm usually in the kitchen or I'm sitting in the living room, or I think maybe once I might have done one from the bedroom. I just have this, which is the Sony FX30 on a tripod. This is a Magnus Rex TL750A tripod. This is heavy duty. Like, there is no wind blowing this down. There is no danger of this being wrecked in any capacity whatsoever. Very, very sturdy. But that's my tripod. And the great thing about this, I can quite easily level it up with if I need it to be high or low or however I want to position it. And this is what I use pretty much anywhere in the house. There are times where I might have to do something not here. I might have to do a client job somewhere else, which is very rare, but I'll take this tripod with me. Even though I have other tripods that are pretty good, but the base on this is pretty solid. There is no, I'm shaking this pretty heavily. There is no this tripod tilting over and putting my camera at risk. So now let's talk about the camera itself. Like I said before, it's a Sony FX30. It's an APC crop censored camera. There's this big debate between FX30 and FX3. The reality is, I'm a believer that it has very little to do with the camera. Let's be honest here. It has more so to do with the operator. How are you using it? How are you controlling it? What is it that you are working towards accomplishing with your camera setup? So this is the FX30. So now, how do I use this? Usually, I'm recording myself. I'm creating the content by myself. Not usually, all the time. So I need to be able to see myself. So that's why I have the Atmos Ninja 5 on top, plugged in HDMI into the camera so that I can actually see myself. Let me see if I can actually turn this on and see what this looks like. Let's come back on. Let's see if everything turns on. What does it look like on this side? Oh, it's asking for cancel. All right, so you can see right now, this is, so usually I'm recording myself like this. I can see what I'm doing. And the monitor facing me allows me to be able to catch everything. Definitely never looks like this. It's much, I'm a much bigger space, so I can get, that's where you can see the setup. So I can get good bokeh and everything else. So now, the lens that I use, typically it varies. I might use one of the G Master lenses, but typically this lens right here, which is a Samsung 16 millimeter f1.8, 1.4. So amazing bokeh. When I want to get that blurry background wide open, but typically I will record at 2.8 or 4 because for me personally, and I might be completely wrong about this, if I'm taking a picture, a photograph with a 1 point high aperture like that, what ends up happening is I can control it much better and I get really great crisp images. With video, I've noticed when it's wide open like that, like the high, like 1.4s, 1.8s, the bokeh and the autofocus kind of plays this kind of weird thing. And it's what I noticed with Canon, with my Canon cameras. The Sony, I haven't really seen it, but I haven't really recorded myself at 1.4. Well, at 2.8, sometimes 4, depending where I'm at and how much distance between the foreground and background, it works perfectly fine, and I find myself having much better focus. So in this camera right here, I'm using this lens right here. A 16 is pretty wide open. But if you do the math, because it's a crop sensor lens, we're talking about a 1.5. So now we're talking about 16 divided by 2 will give you 8 plus 16, 24. So this acts like a 24 millimeter lens versus a 16. So it's still pretty wide. So this right here is my setup. Then of course for audio, I have the Rode, I believe this is the NTG1, I believe. It's phenomenal mic. But also sometimes for the sake of ease, and especially if I know I'm recording during the time of the day where there might be a lot of noise, around me, I'll use the Hollyland lapel mic, and that's my go-to. It's a little bassy, but it's still pretty good audio. So what I do is in Final Cut Pro, I will take the audio and I will reduce the bass on there when I edit my audio in Final Cut Pro. So the Rode NTG, the Samsung 16mm lens. What else is on here? Then of course the Osmos Ninja 5, and this is pretty much it. This is the setup here. Let me give you some angles on this, and this is what you're looking at. What I'm looking at when I'm recording. And again, for a single person shooter, this works perfectly because all I have to do is just hit record, get in front of the camera. The great thing about the FX line, especially the FX3 and FX30, is that once you hit record, everything lights up red, so you know you're recording. And then after I'm done, I walk back, turn it off, and I am a minimalist when it comes to recording. I'm sorry, when it comes to editing. So what I'll do when I'm editing is I'll literally cut off the first few seconds before I start the video, and the last few seconds after I walk away to turn the camera off, and everything in between pretty much stays. From time to time, I want to play around, and I might do a multi-camera recording using the ATEM Mini ISO, but that takes time. And I wish I was a full-time content creator and had hours committed to this, but I'm not. So I need to be able to record and go straight into the rest of my day, and upload and go the rest of my day. But this is my setup right here. I just wanted to share this with you. And then, of course, when I'm not here, I don't have this with me. I'm using the ZV1. ZV1. I always want to say EZ. ZV1. And I use that, and that's a phenomenal camera. So maybe my next video will be here in the studio with that camera, so I can show you what that looks like. It's a very portable setup for me with a tabletop tripod, so I can record from pretty much anywhere. If I'm at work, if I'm in my office, if I am out and about, if I'm in my car, I'll literally put my camera on the dashboard and record. I try not to record while I'm driving so that I'm not distracted. But having the tools to be able to create content is very, very important to me, regardless of where I'm at, because I can't complain and say that I don't have this or I don't have the right setup here. So here I have my studio set up like I'm using right now to record. Then I have my tripod set up that I can use anywhere here at the house, or if I need to have a job, I'll take this tripod with me. Again, this is the Magnus Rex 5000H. And then I have my ZV1 that I have handheld most of the time, or tabletop on a table tripod. And again, that's it. I just want to share this with you. Hopefully this was fun. I love watching people share their gears and their setup, and this is my setup here. And with that being said, Uche and Joku Sneaker Principal, and I'll catch you next time. All right, be well.